So we have a nice little quick shop job to do today. What I have here mounted in the vise is a 3-inch nominal pipe size class 150 blind flange. And I have a test fixture that I need to go through and mount this to, and I need to mount some stuff to the blind flange. And the stuff I need to mount to the blind flange is 3/4 inch NPT. So that's 3/4 national pipe thread. So I had 2 of them to do. Already ran through the process for one of them here. This is the blind flange with an NPT tapped hole in the end of it. This is 3/4 NPT, and that's drilled right through the center. So now I can screw regular, 3/4 inch pipe into there and have it stay put and be exactly as how I want it. And then I can bolt this to the flange face that's pre-existing. And this will set up our test jig to be ready for use. So in order to do that, I've got to go through and drill out a hole to 59/64, and then I've got to go through and set this up for a tapping operation. So we're going to get right to it here and go ahead and get that done. Pretty quick and easy process. We'll take you through it step by step. We're just starting off our hole here with a 1/4 inch bit to get rolling, making sure to let up and not let the chips get too large. This is an A105 grade of steel. Very, very good machining steel. Real pleasure to work with this stuff. It's not too hard. Doesn't work harden, just genuinely pleasant to deal with. Go ahead and knock that chip off of there before it comes off and gets me. There we go. Very good. Go ahead and give it a little bit more lube. This is quite a deep hole for 1/4 inch. I like to keep things in a good shape. And there we are. Through with that. Go ahead and pull the quill all the way up. Jumping up to our 1/2 inch bit now. Go ahead and give this a whirl, 1/2 inch drill bit. Drop the speed down. Gonna bring that down to probably 500 RPM, which is about the lowest that my drill or my milling machine will do in high speed. Don't particularly want to use low speed for this. And that's just drilling absolutely beautifully. Nice sharp bit. Good steel. Real pleasure to work with. And there we go, all the way through. Gonna go ahead and jump up to a 3/4 inch bit now. Get that lubed up. Just peeling a beautiful amount of steel out of there. Next, we're going up to our 59/64 bit, and this is what's called out for the tap. This is a Hanson made in USA tap, and it calls out for a 59/64 drill bit. That's what we're using. For some of the NPT sizes, you can actually buy a taper drill to reduce the amount of work that the tap has to do, because the tap itself is tapered. So if you look closely at the form of the tap, you can see that this end is quite a bit bigger than this end, and that's to match the NPT National Pipe Thread or National Pipe Taper qualification. There, you can see that the threads themselves are tapered, and that's what helps the joint to seal and stay tight. And all I'm doing is just letting off on the quill handle in order to make sure that I break the chips before they get too long to really hurt anybody. I don't like the idea of chips whipping around and cutting me. That's no fun for anyone, and I will get the stink eye from the wife if I come in all bleeding. So do this the safest way possible. Get those chips to break partway through before they become a danger and a hazard. And there we go. That's the drilling part of the job done. Go ahead and give that a healthy dose of lube. Now the next part of this is to go ahead and tap the thread and get it started in there. And what we're using is a 3/4 inch tap. It's pretty large in diameter here, so it does tend to actually be quite difficult to do. And what we want to do, I'm using a cast iron fitting here that I have in my inventory, a brand new one. It's got no wear on it. What we want to do is we want to get it so that this fitting will turn in by hand 3 turns. into the thread, into the taper, before it gets tight. That's kind of the target, and that's what we're shooting for here. And then from there, you're supposed to use tools to go another two threads or so to get a tight joint. That's what the ASME standard for National Pipe Taper Threads specified, and that's what we're targeting here, is a good tight pipe joint. If you're not doing that, or your tools are worn and you're getting way more or way less engagement, you're running a pretty serious risk of the joint not pulling tight, or falling out, or stripping out, all kinds of horrible things. So that's what we're going to do. Now, because these threads are tapered on the tap, there's not really a set tap depth. I'm using this as kind of a guide, because I don't really know where it's going to land. If this goes in 3 threads, I figure I should be good, and that's good enough. If I was doing this professionally, or doing a lot of these, I would go ahead and buy some go no-go gauges for 3/4 inch NPT, and then that would get me in a position where I knew what was going on, and I knew where the depth should be for a properly cut pipe thread. The other flip side of the problem is, if you really want something to seal, or it's a critical joint, you might consider getting the actual piece that you're going to put in here. So if you had something like a piece of instrumentation that you wanted to mount to this flange, you might actually just consider getting the actual fitting you were going to do, and then go from there to get it to fit in 3 threads, guaranteeing a good tight joint. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and use our 7/8 collet here to help us in centering the tap a little bit. Just because this tap doesn't have a center, hoping that's going to help me out in just kind of keeping it in place while I get it started. And that's doing a pretty good job. Yep. That is good stuff. We're started enough now. Probably pull that out and lube it. And then we'll just focus on cutting the rest of the thread down until we can get 3 turns of this tap in place. So here we have it, basically done at this point. go ahead and get this threaded in there. There we go. So we put it down by hand as far as we can take it with just hand pressure. So that's about it right there. So we're going to undo it. Half, 1, half, 2, half, 3, and a little bit, and it's out. That's basically perfectly fit. So at this point, the drilling and the tapping is done, and what we need to do is go through and deburr it. Now it turns out that I don't have a deburring tool big enough for this side. So what we're going to go ahead and do is use one of these little Noga style scrapers. This one's an off-brand dealie, but yeah, we're just going to go ahead and peel all of the burr off this end, and then we'll flip it around, and we'll use a 1-inch bit to deburr the other side so that nobody gets hurt, nobody gets caught on it, and that's basically going to be the job wrapped up. We'll flip that over. We can see that that tap ran all the way through the part, and it's actually right at the limits of what I can do with the tooling that I have, to be honest with you. Hand tools, tapping anything more than like 3/4 to 1-inch diameter is pretty challenging. If I was going to do these professionally, I'd have one of those super awesome like hydraulic tapping arms. That'd be real slick for this. This particular drill bit is pretty beat. I didn't do this, some other jackhole did, but we're going to live with it. We're just going to clamp it up a little bit higher than we might normally do. All we're doing is just touching this to get rid of the burr. And there we go. 2 blind flanges all drilled and tapped and ready to rock.